It is Ray Gaucher with Adrian Scott. Welcome to Truth and Testimony to broadcast on this very special edition. My friend Adrian Scott, as you guys all know, is out in Jerusalem at this moment, and the whole idea for them to go on this trip was to do a little bit of sightseeing on the Holy Lands, but now they seem to be sitting in the middle of a bit of a predicament. And why don't you share about how you looking there, brother? You're looking good. You look like you're dealing with things all right.
Yeah, I just pretty much don't let this fool you. I just got lazy and decided to stop shaving. But it's been very interesting because well, I'm sure as everyone's well aware, there's some major conflict happening here at the moment. But really, from where we're at, pretty much in the heart of Jerusalem, if you didn't turn the TV on, you'd have no idea anything was happening. So it's pretty much life as usual right in this immediate area. And
Yeah.
but the challenge we have been faced with is our time was coming up to return home, and we got word that our flight had been canceled. As a lot of countries apparently have stopped sending their planes here. So it's not anything that Israel's doing. The Ben Gurion Airport in Tel Aviv is open and operating, but all these countries have said, no, we're not sending any planes there. And that includes Canada and the US and other places as well. So Israel has really stepped up their game. They are like people are working almost double shifts and they are just taking all their airplanes just to help people get in and out of Israel. So, through some tremendous work of my incredible wife, she was able to actually secure us passage out of here. So, we have a few more days we're going to be here now. It's a little later than we were originally going to leave, but that could have been worse. But we'll be flying out to Dubai, of all places, and then from Dubai back to Canada, to Montreal, and then back to our home. So that's kind of where we're sitting now. And yeah, so we're completely safe where we're at. We've been going for little strolls and stuff. You do note that walking down the streets of Jerusalem here, the police and military presence are definitely ramped up. The last time we went out, I think I can literally and honestly say there were more police and military on the street than there were civilians.
Wow. Okay. Well, for those of you that are um, not exactly sure, I mean, I'm out here in Washington State right now, in on the West Coast, and Adrian Scott is actually in the old part of Jerusalem, aren't you? You're in the old city.
Near it, it's about a 30-minute walk from where we're at.
Okay. Okay. So you're really so what is something that everyone would know? Like, what are you closest to right now?
So we are basically on an apartment just off of Jaffa Street or Jaffa Street, which is like that's like Hollywood Boulevard. It's like the big street in Jerusalem, one of them.
So you're real close to the Temple Mount or the Wailing Wall. Like, are you
Well,
close to
that's the old
that?
city. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, I've been wanting to get together and have a little chat with you anyway since you've been out there, but it's so difficult to do because what time is it out there right now? What is it?
Currently for us, it's about eight
Noon?
o'clock in the morning
Oh, it's
or a
8.
little
Is it
after.
8? Okay, so it's about that, and out here on the Pacific Coast, it's 10:17 at night. So it's kind of hard to um, try to coordinate a time to talk with you, but I'm glad we have this opportunity here. Um,
It's a bit of a challenge. There's a 10-hour difference.
Yeah, and there's a bit of a delay on this stream, but you know what? We can hear you. You look like Bruce Lee, but it's good. You know,
That might be an
it's all right.
improvement.
So I want to ask you, okay? I seen one of your videos where you showed the air raid sirens going off when this whole thing started the other day. Did you actually hear any explosions from those missiles that came in, or possibly the Iron Dome intersecting or intercepting any of those rockets that were coming in? Because I know they launched a couple of them at Jerusalem, but I don't know if they made impact or if the Iron Dome intercepted them.
So, to the best of my knowledge, there were no direct impacts in Jerusalem. We absolutely, before we really realized what was going on, we were actually in the old city, right by the Temple Mount, and we heard the first round of air raid sirens, and we could see the rocket streams in the sky,
Oh,
both the ones that were coming towards Jerusalem and the Iron Dome missiles intercepting. And so all of the ones that did make it far enough, because most of anything couldn't get this far, um, they were intercepted. The ones that were aiming at Jerusalem, we hear that there were apparently a couple of direct hits in Tel Aviv and in Bat Ram, which is a southern district of Tel Aviv. So yeah, and we had been there.
yeah,
Like those are two spots that we were when we first got here, was in Bat Ram and in, I think the area is
yeah.
called Rishon LeZion, and there were two hits there. But since
So,
then, like we had maybe four rounds of sirens and rockets that had been aimed at Jerusalem, but nothing actually landed here. And since then it's been quiet.
so what was your first reaction when you guys just heard the sirens? Like, did you look at each other and you're like, is this a drill or is this real? Like, what was your reaction to that?
That was pretty much it. It's like, okay, what's going on here? I mean, the last time I heard an air raid siren actually being used legitimately was when I was in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, 22 years ago, and they used it for a tornado warning. So it's not something that we're used to hearing. And it went off the first time, and we were kind of scratching our heads and trying to figure out what was going on. Nobody seemed to be panicking, but they were all moving towards shelter, and we're like, oh, okay, I think this might be an attack. So we kind
Mm.
of got ourselves to shelter, and after that we started making our way back to our apartment. But on the way there, there was like three more times that the sirens went off, and each time we could see the rocket streams up in the air, and we heard the booms. We did hear explosions, and that was the interceptors taking them out.
Yeah. So, did you receive any kind of a text message from the Israeli uh, communications department warning about anything happening?
No, but I mean, we have not actually activated our mobile services, so our cell phones have
Oh,
not been functioning outside of
yeah,
using Wi-Fi.
right. Okay, you're just using the Wi-Fi, so you wouldn't get something like that on Wi-Fi.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah.
We're actually
How's
doing our
Kevin
video.
holding out?
Oh, he's doing fine. He went for a stroll this morning. I mean, it's like I
Yeah,
said. I mean, if you didn't turn on the news, if you didn't look at reports, you'd barely know anything was going on in the immediate area that we're in.
yeah,
Other than the
yeah,
number of people out on the street is less.
yeah. Well, there's certainly a lot going on in Gaza right now. I was watching the most recent news, and they're pounding them pretty good over there.
Yeah.
They're hitting a lot of targets on where these rockets have been launched from, and I got a feeling they're going to go in with a ground invasion to get the hostages, probably the
Oh,
hostages out of there.
they've already announced that.
Yeah.
Netanyahu has already
Okay.
said
Well,
that
fill
the
fill
first
me in
phase
because
was the
you're getting a
airstrikes.
first. Yeah, you're getting a firsthand what that man is saying. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that the media is not telling us. So, what have you heard?
Well, so that's it. I mean, the first thing was it was very much a surprise attack. And one of the big conversations happening is how there was such a complete failure of Israeli intelligence that they didn't see this coming.
Yeah,
And so there's already talk that, heads are going to proverbially roll, and people will be getting fired. But right now they're dealing with the issue, and that will come later. Once it all happened and it started unfolding, they deployed the IDF to respond. And at that point, the big hold on here 1 second. So they deployed them to respond, and the first wave was because they had fully infiltrated. They had actually used light paragliders and stuff to fly in. They
yeah,
had used some boats to come in on the water, and they had actually used a backhoe to knock down a portion of the wall around
yeah.
Gaza, and came in trucks and vehicles and stuff. So they had invaded.
Motorcycles. Yeah.
upwards of 10 towns or something like that, along
25.
the southern border.
I thought it was 25.
Okay, it might be that. I know it was a
Yeah.
few. And so the first phase was going in there, getting them out, securing the area. Um, the last I'd heard, they were still doing sweeps because really they have to go house by house and be meticulous about it. So
Yeah.
that was the first thing, was get the invaders out of Israel. Then the second phase was going to be the airstrikes in Gaza. And then the third phase would be a full ground mobilization. A lot of people here are really saying that they think they should go in, completely destroy Hamas, take rulership over Gaza for now. Then the conversation is, do they just maintain um, control of the area, or possibly handing it over to the Palestinian Authority? That will play out in the future. But that's where all that is sitting. One thing I did want to mention is, because I've already seen this from a few different news sources, this was absolutely 100% initiated by Hamas. It was timed to be, to the day, the 50th anniversary of the big surprise attack in 1973, to the day. So they have been
Yeah.
planning this and coordinating this for a while. Some have likened it to being similar to 9/11, but this one I think is bigger in scope because it's ongoing, and it's now going to be ongoing for a while.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, I've seen a few sources refer to the Hamas's military commanders and all this. No, they're terrorists. They specifically planned this, and they planned it to target women, children, and the elderly. And they came in and
Citizens.
and yeah, just civilians, a direct attack on civilians, but in particular women and children. And they just openly were shooting people as they went into these towns. Once they crossed the border, they dragged a bunch back as hostages. um, the stuff that's happened to them, I don't want to mention.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if you see any news source and they dare to refer to these animals as military commanders, find another news source. They are terrorists.
Yeah. Yeah. There's also talk too um, that Hezbollah might even try. They were asked by Hamas or the Iranian dictatorship over there for Hezbollah to start, to initiate
No,
or to join
Hamas,
it.
Hamas has definitely been trying to encourage Hezbollah and Iran and
Yeah,
others
that's
to get involved in this. There was an exchange of rocket fire between Hezbollah and Israel in the north, but I haven't heard
yeah,
of any additional attacks up there.
yeah. No, that's what I was saying. They wanted Hezbollah to join, and don't.
Yeah.
I'm sure you know this, but Iran's pulling all the strings out this puppet
Oh
show
yeah.
here.
Yeah. No,
So
it's like if people think that Hamas are acting on their own, no, they're
no,
funded and supplied through Iran.
yeah, and there's also talk too that that Iran is actually looking for permission through either it's through Iraq or possibly through whatever nation it would be
Yeah.
to get over to Lebanon. Uh, they're looking for permission to come through their territory, and of course you've got a bunch of other terrorist organizations willing to take the fight and take over Jerusalem. This is flat out ugly, and it's something that Israel really needs to take control. And I don't know if you heard this or not, but you probably have, being over there. The United States of America has sent out an aircraft carrier group that is on its way to the Mediterranean, and I'm not sure which aircraft carrier it is, but it's a big one. And
Oh yeah.
those come with a lot of warships and missile um, Patriot batteries that are built right into those ships, and there's lots of I don't know what they plan to do with that. Um, they may use that as a force to tell the others, like Iran and others, hey, just back off,
That
like
that
don't
seems
even
to be
think
the
about it.
primary point, is to
Yeah,
discourage anyone else from getting involved.
yeah, yeah. So that's I don't know if you heard about that, but yeah, that's
I did.
that's on the way. And yeah, and it's funny. It's well, it's not funny, but it's like when you went over there initially, I never said nothing because I didn't want to spoil your fun. but I had a feeling something was going to be wrong. I'm telling you, I'm not just making this up. I think you know I wouldn't lie to you. I just had a funny feeling in my gizzard, like something is not going to be good about this trip. I hope I'm wrong. And then when I heard about all this stuff happening, like, oh my goodness, you got to be kidding me. So when Kristen told me that you guys got a flight out of there on Friday, I'm like, well, that's pretty darn good news. I'm guessing when you get out of there, you probably at one point kissed a rock or a wall there, but you'll be kissing the ground when you get out of there, probably just to say thank you, Lord, for getting me out of there safely. Because you know, as what scripture says, when you see armies encamped around Israel, run. You know,
Yeah.
your look up, your redemption draws nigh, and you're probably thinking, well, I didn't expect to be in the middle of it.
No,
So,
that wasn't part of the plan.
yeah, yeah. So, yeah. And you know what? I bet you even a part of you too is a little, I know this sounds crazy, but a little excited seeing all this happen around you, because I can honestly say if I would have went on that trip with you, I would have probably said, you know what? If we're going to go, this is the place we're to go. Right? I mean, we're right in the Holy Land. Like, what a better place to meet the Lord. You know, He's on His way down. You're on your way up, right? So,
Well, no, it's like if I knew that anything was directly going to be happen to me, I think I would immediately be making for the Temple Mount.
yeah,
And take me out. You can take me
exactly.
out there.
Or head over to Petra in Jordan there, and meet everybody over there and give some Bible lessons. You just don't know what the Lord would have had planned for you, and it
Yeah.
wouldn't have surprised me. That's for sure. So you've probably, well, at least before all of this happened, it sounds like you got a lot of video and a lot of pictures. And how's your visit been overall, though? I mean, has it been really good? I mean, hopefully this
Oh,
hasn't spoiled it all.
no, it hasn't. I mean, again, I mean, we're not really directly impacted where we're at, and absolutely, I just want to say that our prayers are completely with all the people that are
Yeah,
directly in the midst of all of this, because it is big and it is bad. And
yeah,
yeah, I heard one awful story locally. There was a fella who was up a little more north in Israel, but his wife and two daughters, 3 and 5 years old, were
yeah.
down visiting some in-laws in one of the villages that was attacked directly down on the south. And the last message that he got from his wife was that they were trying to break into the house or something close to that, and hasn't heard from her since. The last time they did a track on the phone was now in Gaza.
Oh.
So, so I just, pray for those people, all of them.
And what about all the teenagers? You heard about that party they were having on the beach,
Yeah.
and there's video showing they're having a good time, they're listening to music, and now all of a sudden you got one person taking a shot of all the rockets that are flying over, and all of a sudden now they start to panic, and then before you know it, they're being stormed by all these terrorists, and some even being taken. um, Teenagers, like, these people have nothing but evil in their hearts to even do this. I mean, they're attacking children, they're attacking
Yeah.
elderly, they're attacking
Again,
handicapped women,
the
you know,
attack was
defenseless
specifically
people.
specifically against civilians.
Yeah, it's defenseless people. The only word I have for this, my friend, is a bunch of cowards. That's what they are. They have to beat up on defenseless civilians. Don't go up against the army because you might lose. But you know what? It enraged me when I heard what was going on over there. I was so upset. I'm like, get me on a flight and give me an M16. I'll go fight over there, because it was just what they did was so terrible. And some
Yep.
may not agree with me. And you know what? I don't care. It's like
No,
someone
I mean,
breaking
if you
down your door and breaking in and taking your family and slaughtering your family. You're going to sit there and play cards? No, you're going to defend your family.
and just, I mean, to really sum it up, because I have seen a little bit of this, some of which maybe I wish I hadn't seen. But that once again, I mean, if you try to think that this is an army and that these are soldiers, no, they're straight up animals and terrorists when they are doing all of this stuff, and then they are proudly broadcasting it on local media
Yeah,
that they're assaulting these people and dragging them through the street, and they're declaring it and celebrating over
yeah.
it.
And raping the women and everything, and
Yeah.
it's known that that's what they're doing. And so every single missile, every single IDF soldier that goes into Gaza and takes these murderers out one by one. I'm sorry, maybe other people are better Christians than I am, but you know what? Rid the area of this cancer. Get rid of these evil people, because for them just to even do something like that, I know what it felt like when my daughter's life was taken by a murderer. So I know what that feels like, and there's also there's also justified anger, or maybe I'm wording that
A
wrong.
righteous
It's
anger,
a
yes.
righteous anger. Thank you. A righteous, justified anger towards evil. And even God in Scripture, in the Bible, uh, had, like, look at Sodom, look at Gomorrah, look at other areas where when Jonathan was making his way to the promised land, where he was instructed to take out certain communities that were there because they were just flat out evil. And
Yep.
God was purifying the land. You're looking around there. Are you hearing something?
Oh, just looking at the weather. You
Oh,
always get apprehensive now. Every time there's a car rolling down the pavement, it almost sounds like a plane. So,
yeah.
you get a little paranoid.
Did you hear some of the jets flying over? Because I know there's
Um, a,
there's an
cou-
air
a couple of times, yeah.
Yeah, because I know there's an air base not far from you. So yeah,
So,
and even if an air base was 20 miles from you, you'd still hear it there because Israel is
well,
so
that's what
small.
I said in one of my update videos that, it's a small enough country that you're never really that far from
Yeah,
anything, you know.
yeah. Okay, so what are you gonna do? Oh, by the way, um, you sent me an email this morning and you told me what was going on, and you said, prayers would be nice. I don't know if you expected me to put the video out I did, but though we had almost like 800 views, I think, or 700 views on that video, and lots of people praying for you guys over there. And I think that
Yeah.
probably had a lot to do with Kristen being so successful on getting you guys a flight out of there. So the prayer family was praying for you guys, and
Yeah. And I would just like to say, Chris actually made a short video
yeah,
saying the same thing, but both of us absolutely, from the bottom of our hearts, we just really thank everyone for all the prayers. We really do think that it helped in the circumstances because you got to. One other thing to note is that we're just coming off of this biblical feast of Sukkot, and this is a pilgrimage feast. So there were a ton of people that had come into the country just for this holiday that are
oh,
all trying to now get out. So
oh,
this is part of what's just slamming poor Al El, the Israeli airline, in trying to accommodate everyone because no one else is flying. So the fact that we were able to get something and only 2 days later than our original date, I do really think that that prayer intercession had a role in that. So we really do
yeah.
sincerely thank everyone, truly.
Yeah, no, I've got a pretty amazing prayer family out there. We posted those videos both on Truth and Testimony and my main channel there. Um, you mentioned about the feasts, and there's at least been a couple feasts during the time you've been there, I think. Whatever, which one was the most popular you said that everyone comes
Well,
for?
it's just the one Sukkot, but there's a
Okay.
couple of things that are part of Sukkot, but they have their own names like Shmini Atzeret and the rabbis, they have one they call Simchat Torah.
Okay, so what is Sukkot? What is the meaning of that? Like, what does that mean,
Sukkot
Sukkot?
for the English would be the Feast of Booths
Of
or
what?
tents, tabernacles,
Oh, okay.
where
Feast of
everyone would
Tabernacles.
dwell in tents.
Yep. Okay. So obviously the enemy on the other side over there knows about this, and they figured what a great time to do this when there's more
This is
people to
another
go after.
cowardly aspect of them is they
Yeah,
very often will attack on high holy days.
yeah. Well, I got a feeling they're going to regret this. And when I watched the interview or Netanyahu's address and another IDF representative, they both made the same statement that Hezbollah is going to get hit like they've never ever been hit before. And I got
Yeah,
a feeling
they
it's.
have
Sorry, go ahead.
sorry, they have activated police everywhere, and they have also activated pretty much all of the reservists.
Yeah,
So one of the reasons for the streets being quiet is half the people that would normally be walking around and manning the shops are now reporting for military duty. So they
yeah.
are getting some massive feet on the ground, and they're going to be making some big moves.
I wonder how. Well, do you have any idea what the count is for their military and reservists and everything? Do you know how many they
The
have?
only thing I heard was the last time they did a reservist call, it was about 80,000 people, and they say that is small compared to this time.
Oh wow. Well, then they obviously have something bigger planned. And I also noticed that they were moving a lot of major equipment over to the Lebanon-Israeli border as well,
Yeah.
in big
Well,
trucks.
as I
Uh,
mentioned, Hezbollah did legitimately do a rocket attack. They did launch some rockets into the north of Israel from the West
yeah,
Bank. Israel did respond to that. They attacked back. I haven't heard of anything else up on that end happening, just that one instance, but it may have and it could at any time.
yeah. Okay. Well, friend, we are coming up to half an hour, and I think that's probably a good point where we can wrap this up. Um,
Yeah.
Really looking forward to seeing you get back safely. Do us a favor and continue to do what you're doing on Truth and Testimony. Put some updates up and let us know how things are going. Of course, get a hold of me. Send me an email and let me know when you guys are comfortably sitting on that plane
Yeah.
so I can, breathe a little easier because, when all this stuff started happening, I'm like, oh man. I'm praying. I'm like, Lord, he's needed at home. Let him get home safely, right?
I
So,
may not
and
be
I
able to do any actual like video uploads or anything, but I
no,
am in pretty regular messaging with my wife, so I can get information to her and she can pass it along.
sure,
So, at
yeah.
the very
Well,
least, if nothing else.
if you have a chance to put out like an update, like you've been doing, even if it's 5 minutes or whatever. Oops, my light just died on me. Hold on, I got to back up. Da da da. um, always got to back up. All right,
Yeah.
all right, my friend. Well, you know what? It's a pleasure to sit down and finally talk with you. And like I said, all our prayers are with you. And do let us know. Like I said, when you comfortably are on a plane, I might even hear something. I'll be in touch with you between now and Friday because you're supposed to get on your flight at Friday, correct?
Yes. And I would
Okay.
just like to add again, truly appreciate all of the prayers that we have received. I would just ask to please include all of these civilians that have been targeted
Yeah.
by these animals
Absolutely.
in those prayers
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I made mention of that too, to pray for the innocent on both sides of this conflict. Um, Absolutely. And that the evil would be, that the rats would be dug out of their holes and dealt with for sure. All right. God bless you, my friend, in the name of Yeshua. Okay. And we'll talk to you soon. And thank you again.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye for now.